The stories shared on It Takes Balls are unique to the individual sharing. Always speak with your trusted medical provider for treatment options specific to you. Welcome back to It Takes Balls, presented by Testicular Cancer Awareness Foundation. Today I'm joined by a gym owner, Josh Morris, joining us. Josh, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So before we talk about your testicular cancer story, tell me a little bit about who you are.
So I'm Josh Moore, father of three, gym owner. I kind of got my hands in a little bit of everything. I coach football here locally. I coach Special Olympics powerlifting. I do a little bit of everything. So.
Awesome. And I know you are in your late 30s. You were diagnosed a few years ago, though, for the first time. So tell me about what led up to your first diagnosis.
Yeah. So it was 2021, the first time I had it. I was just in the shower and I felt a mass, and I kind of put it off for a few months, and then I noticed it was just still there. So I called my doctor and scheduled a physical, and I went in there, and at first he thought it was just, I don't remember if he said it was ventral veins, or he thought it was like a clump of veins. He said, it's what it could be, but just to be safe, let's schedule an ultrasound. And naturally I skipped that ultrasound. And I sat at my gym, and I thought, just something in my head, I was like, man, I should probably call and reschedule that. Like, something just feels off. So I called and rescheduled it, and I went in, had the ultrasound, and they told me 24 to 48 hours, doctor, have your results. 4 hours later, my doctor's calling me. And the first thing he says, we're here in Ohio, and the first thing he says is, I need you to call the James. And I knew then, I was like, I have cancer. And he was like, I'm not sure. I can't say yes or no, but whatever it is, there's blood flowing to it, so it's growing. And I was like, okay. So I went to the James here. We're 40 minutes outside of Columbus. So I went over to Ohio State, which is where the James is located. And lo and behold, it was cancer. So that was the first time.
So were you doing a self-check, with the intent of catching testicular cancer, or were you just,
I was just taking a shower, and
Gotcha.
I just felt it, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I never thought I'd have cancer at, I was 21. I was 37 years old. So.
When you say the James, is that what you said? What is the James?
So the James is Ohio State's Cancer and Research Center.
Okay.
And like I said, we're 35, 40 minutes east of Ohio State. So it's the closest place to go. So that's where I went for my cancer treatment both times.
So when you heard you had cancer, or, you suspected it, what was that mentally for you? You had your wife and your three kids. Did you have three at the time?
Yeah. They're 14, it's about to be 15 and 9. So they were young the first time I had it. I mean, they're still young, but they were younger. I use humor as a way to get over anything. So I started making a lot of ball jokes. I thought I'm going to remain as upbeat as I can. To the point that my own mom was like, how are you handling this? Why didn't this bother you? And I was like, I could be upset and still have cancer. It's not going to fix it. Or I could just make light of the situation and get through it. Light right there, which is what I did. I made the most of it. So.
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I was kind of similar to that. So, you had your ultrasound, it was suspicious for testicular cancer. Your next step was orchiectomy, I presume?
Yep. Yeah. I had that November of 21 is when I had the surgery, and the surgery was supposed to only take an hour. Mine ended up taking 4 hours. When I went in there, they went in the wrong side. I don't know. It was chaos. So it ended up taking 4 hours. But I had the surgery, and I remember I came home, and we watch Ohio State football here, pretty much religiously. And at the time, a group of buddies were always at my house every Saturday. And I remember I texted them, and I was like, hey, nothing changes. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I laid on my couch with a pillow between my legs watching Ohio State football, but I tried to remain just as normal as possible. But yeah, I had an orchiectomy. I believe that's how you pronounce it. In November of 21. So,
What was their explanation for going in the wrong side?
um, I'm really not sure.
Hmm.
I'm really not sure. Like I have two incisions, like where they cut me the first time, went in, and they're like, oh, oops, and they cut me again.
Oh my
And went
God.
in. Yeah. So I mean, I'm
Jeez.
not really, I'm not really upset. I mean, they got the job done, just and I was under. I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah.
So
Did they
um,
mark you beforehand? Like, I feel like when they did mine, they marked my leg or something.
yeah, I'm assuming they did. Like, I mean, I just remember like the medicine they gave me, like to put you under. They're like count down from 99, and I was like 98, 90, good night. Like, so I don't remember much. I remember being in the bed, and I remember getting yelled at because it was outpatient and it was late at night, and like I wasn't waking up, but I'm like, I'm on so much drugs right now. Like, I don't want to wake up, so I don't, yeah, that's pretty much all I remember about that surgery. And I don't remember if they marked me or not. I don't know.
Well, they knew you had a
So
football game to watch, so they
yeah,
wanted you to get out
yeah,
there and see
yeah.
the game.
Listen, I have priorities. Like, we got to get this on the road. So yeah.
So okay, so you had your orchiectomy. Do you remember your pathology?
As far as what? I'm sorry, like
The
what
cell
type?
type.
Yeah, it was non-seminoma.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
So then, what was your next step? Because I know it recurred. So were you
it
stage
did.
one at that time?
Yeah, yeah. I was just stage one. Hadn't moved anywhere in my body. I was start out like 3 months surveillance. Every 3 months you go in, and then I was through that. I was at every 6 months, and so I was like month 18 post cancer, and I went in, and usually like labs come back instantly, like within an hour. You get, at least I do. I get my labs and like my scans. I get the results back quickly, and it's like 5 hours later, and I don't have anything back, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, maybe they're just busy. And when it came back, my my one lymph node was like 3 times as big as it's supposed to be, and my tumor markers were like 10 times higher than normal. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And it came back at my lymph nodes is where it came back at. And what kind of stinks looking back, the first time they offered me like a small dose of chemo. And he's like, my doctor, he's like, you can do a light dose of chemo, but it's less than 10% chance that it comes back. He's like, so it's totally up to you, and I'm like, I really don't want to do chemo. I think I'll be okay. And lo and behold, I was the 10%. That's just my luck. And so, yeah, it came back, and I ended up doing 21 chemo treatments. I did 9 weeks.
So this was about 2 years later, right?
It was like 2023. So it was
Okay.
18 months later. So I spent the entire summer of 23 pretty much sick, due to the chemo. So
Yeah. Based on just the stories I've heard and the most recent interview I did with an expert, Dr. Hamilton in Canada about surveillance, I think that you probably made the right decision to begin with because had it never come back, right? Like you would have been
yeah,
chemo free. But
right. But I'm the less than 10% chance. Here I
yeah.
am. That's just the luck I have. So yeah, like I said, I did 9 weeks of chemo, um, which was, I don't know how elderly people do it. Um, the first 3 weeks of chemo weren't bad. I made jokes. I was like, I've had worse hangovers than this, in my younger days. This is nothing. But it just compounds over the course of 9 weeks. Like weeks 4 through 6 got a little bit more rough. Weeks 7 through 9 were real bad. I was sleeping, 23 hours a day. I couldn't eat anything. I always people if they've never had chemo, like they don't understand like the metallic taste that you get. The only thing I can liken it to is having a handful of change and you're playing with it, and then you just kind of and you're like that's what water tasted like. I mean, everything. It was disgusting. But I mean, I lost all my hair. Um, it affected like my hearing some. Um, just, it was, I don't know. It's not something I ever want to go through again. So knock on wood, I don't have to. Um, so yeah, like I said, I don't know how, I couldn't imagine, I was 38 years old when I did that. I couldn't imagine being 83. Like I don't know how people do it. So props to those people who get through it at that age.
So 9 weeks, was that, you had BEP then, I assume?
Yeah. Yep.
So were you given the option between BEP and EP? Because I find it interesting. Some places prefer one over the other, and I had EP times 4, so I'm just interested in.
No, that was just what was presented to me. It was just
Gotcha.
the only option. So yeah, and what stinks about it is I rang the bell at 11 o'clock in the morning, signaling my last chemo session. 11 o'clock at night, I was admitted to our local hospital with sepsis and pneumonia.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I came home from from my last chemo. My wife was working from home at the time. Her job was amazing with it since I was going through it. They let her work from home. I told her I was going to go upstairs, take a nap. Like 1:30 in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, I wake up and I was shivering so bad that it took me probably 10 minutes or so just to text her help. Like I couldn't hold my phone. It was like the most bone shattering shivers I've ever had. So she rushes upstairs and she's like, "Oh my God, like what is wrong?" So I remember she's like laying on me and I'm like, "I'm so cold." She takes my temperature. It's like 103, which, if you have chemo, anything over 100 is a medical emergency. So she called Ohio State. Like, what do we do? And they're like, get into the hospital immediately. So I got there like 2:30, 3 o'clock. They ran every test known to man. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. A couple of days later, the pneumonia showed up in my lung. It was in the bottom part of my lung, but it was starting to form. They just couldn't find it. And then I became septic, and yeah. So that's how I always remember ringing the bell. Is 12 hours later, I'm admitted in the hospital. Like that's just my luck. That's just my luck. So it's fine. Like
Jeez.
yeah. So I was actually sick for 10 weeks because it was a whole other week of being sick. So I was so tired of being sick. I was just like, I'm done. I'm done being sick.
Were you in the hospital for that whole last week then, admitted with your sepsis?
I was. Yeah, I was in there for a whole week. And it drove me nuts because I've never like missed like any type of sporting event for my kids. And I missed both my boys had scrimmages, and I'm in the hospital telling my wife I'm going to pull the IV out so I can go to the scrimmage. And she's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Oh, I am." So she ended up going live on her phone so I could watch it on my phone. So I think that was the most agonizing part, was just not being able to like be there. So I told everyone, I was like, when I get out of this, when I'm not saying no to anything. And now it's like, God, I wish I could say no to some stuff. Like I just keep taking more and more stuff on. Like I just don't know how to say no. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
it's because
expand on that. Like being a father of young kids and, being down and out. I mean, what's that like for you mentally?
that was like probably the hardest part. I mean, luckily, like my mother-in-law, she came in pretty clutch. Like she'd come and get the kids, take them out to her house so they could still be kids, because it was summer break and they didn't really understand that dad's sick. I mean, they knew I was sick, but all the jokes I made, like they never understood like how sick I really was. So, they want to go do stuff and play, and I'm up, in bed sleeping. So she came through big time with that. But yeah, that was probably the hardest part, is just, missing stuff and not be able to really enjoy that summer with them. So I told everyone, I was like, when I get healthy, it's like I'm already 100 miles an hour as it is, but never again will I take stuff for granted. And literally, I've done everything. I mean, me and my daughter, she wanted to go watch a Tennessee Volunteers game. And I was like, we're going. Like, so we went down to Tennessee. Like we've just anything and everything like I've wanted to do. Like you, the whole cliche of like, oh, we'll make a bucket list. And, like mine wasn't really a bucket list. It was more of like a goals. Like I want to do this, this, and this. And I just remember like I sat in the chair getting infusion, and I was like, okay, when I get healthy, I'm doing all of this. And I've pretty much crossed off everything I wrote down. I'd have to look, see what's left, but like there's not much left. I've done everything. So
You know what you need to do is you need to do a stand-up comedy class. I think the guy that taught the one down here where I am in Virginia Beach also teaches one in Ohio. So you could go do the same thing at the Funny Bone.
yeah, what's funny is that's funny you mentioned that. Me and my best friend since we've been 8 years old. We're both funny dudes, and we were literally writing jokes as I'm like going through chemo, and like when I'm done, like we're writing jokes, and people are like, "You guys are so messed up." I'm like, "No, it's hilarious." Like I remember I made so many ball jokes. I told my wife, I was like, "You want to hear a really good ball joke?" And she's like, "What?" So I was like, "Fine, I don't have any." Like, and like I did. I made so many ball jokes. But yeah, we actually thought about going and doing like an open mic night at the Funny Bone,
Yeah, you
because
should.
it's 35 minutes away. Yeah, but that takes balls. Like
Yeah.
that's a whole different level of, to get up there, and that's a different type of vulnerability. I don't know, maybe we'll see. I
Yeah,
don't know. Maybe.
I did it. I think it was like 2 Aprils ago, and
Yeah,
it was scary. Yeah, I was one and done. Um,
yeah, yeah,
it'd be fun to go, do open mics and stuff. But it went so well the first time. I don't know if I want to
yeah.
stay on that high.
You're like, how do I follow that up? You
Yeah.
know, I have a friend that did it. He did, and he's usually very introverted, but he did it, and we're always like, man, he has no pun intended, but he's got more balls than I do. Like, he did it. I've never done it, so I don't know. Maybe that's
Yeah,
something to think
add it
about.
to the list.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with
What's something else?
with your kids being older, do they kind of in hindsight understand now what you went through?
I think my oldest does. My I have twins. I have a daughter and a son. They're twins. I don't know if they do because they're only 9 years old still. So I don't know. I mean, they never really asked me about it. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. That could be down the road. I could, if it gets. I don't really mention it much. I guess anymore. Like, oh, remember when I was sick? Like, I don't know. I kind of. I don't really dwell on it.
Yeah.
So
With
if
your
they would have,
oldest being 14, do you plan to kind of share with him the importance of self checks as
yeah,
he gets
because
older?
well, yeah, and he's more like susceptible to it too, I guess, is what they said. Because when he was a baby, he had like an undescended testicle, which I guess puts you at more. I mean, eventually it dropped, but I guess that puts you at more risk. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna educate them, both my sons, because it's weird. Like I don't know if like you dealt with this or anyone watching that's had testicular cancer has dealt with this, but like you mentioned breast cancer, and people are like, "Oh my god!" Like, but you mentioned testicular cancer, and it's like, you'll be okay. Like it's almost like I don't want to say like scoffed at, but like it's almost like people just make like a lot of light. Like it's not taken as serious, I guess, which is weird because it's still cancer. And like I said, I mean, I'm guilty of it because I made so many jokes. But like people on the outside, like it just, I don't know. I think if I was to say like, oh, I have breast cancer, I think people would be like, oh my god, are you going to be okay? Whereas I'm like, oh, I got testicular cancer. I'm like, oh, you'll be all right. Just have surgery, you'll be okay. Like, it's just so. Yeah, I'm definitely going to educate my kids on it because the path that testicular cancer takes is not a fun one. It goes from your lymph nodes to your lungs to your brain. Like that's the path it takes. That's none of those are pleasant sounding after lymph nodes. Like that doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah. And no, you're right. And I think the jokes are okay. I mean, that's just a way to destigmatize it and get people thinking about it. So no
Yeah,
shame in the ball joke game.
yeah, yeah. But I almost wonder, like, because I didn't take it so serious, like if others didn't take it serious. Which I mean, I guess doesn't really matter if they took it serious or not. It was me that was going through it. It's just one of those things. Like it's weird. It's like if I was to say like, oh, I got prostate cancer, or, oh, I got lung cancer, like any other type of cancer. But you say you have testicular cancer, and it's like people just like, meh. Like I don't know. It's just weird. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't bother me. It's just I find it. I don't know. I just find it strange how lightly people take it.
Yeah. Hey, that's true. I want to talk about, I mentioned you're a gym owner.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a very physical, job.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess you're self-employed as well. So how did like being self-employed and having such a physical job play into, like going through chemo? Were you able to continue kind of going up to the gym or were you kind of
Yeah.
staying at home?
So no. So I train a bunch of like middle school and high school athletes, and first off, they were amazing. So were their families were amazing. They did like a meal train for my family. They made T-shirts and sold them without me knowing it, and like gave my wife all the money to help with like gas, and because we were going over to Columbus, I went 5 days 1 week, 1 day, 1 day, then it cycled back every 3 weeks. That's how the cycle was. But I made a deal with the kids I trained that if they kept showing up, I would show up. I may not be of much use, but I will be here. And I think I missed 1 day. Um, Even like when I was at my sickest, like I was sleeping 23 hours a day, that 1 hour I was awake, I was at my gym, sitting in my chair, making sure they was working out. So yeah, the first few weeks, I think I remember like I was still working out and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get through it. But yeah, once that chemo starts, compounding, it's over. Like and I'm pretty. I don't want to like toot my own horn, but like I'm pretty. I don't know if it's tough or just driven, but man, there's only so much you could take, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to my body. I'm not gonna be that stupid guy who doesn't listen. Like I'm not gonna let the ego get in the way. So, um, yeah, it was hard not lifting. I remember like I have a video. I forget how long it is after I had treatment. Like I'm in there squatting, and I was like, back at it. But I don't know. Yeah, it was hard.
Did
So
the bleomycin have any effect on your um, lung like function? Do you do cardio a lot?
um,
You got big arms, but do you do
yeah,
the
um, yeah, I would get winded walking up the stairs. Like I noticed that. Um, yeah, it took a minute for that to come back. Like it took a minute. Um, yeah, that's probably like I mean, I guess I didn't really think about it like at the time, but yeah, I was winded. Like I'd get winded walking upstairs to my bedroom. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so out of shape, So yeah.
did you notice any physical changes? Like did you lose a lot of your muscle or anything towards the end of your chemo?
Yeah, I lost some. Just if you don't use it, you lose it. So yeah, I lost some. Um, the biggest thing I noticed is like when my hair started growing back. First, it came in wavy, which was amazing because I have like poker straight hair, and I was like, "Oh, I got texture up here. I can do the yeah." But then it came back gray, and I was like, "No, I've never had a gray hair in my life." Luckily, it went back to normal, but I was freaking out. My wife's like, "It's better than being bald." I was like, "I think I'd rather be bald. I think I'd rather be bald than gray." So, um, yeah, and then I had like neuropathy. Like it felt like my like I'd be driving and like I would have to take my shoe off because it felt like my socks were scrunched up,
Hmm.
but they weren't. So every now and then, like it was like I'm sitting here wiggling my toes now because I'm thinking about it. But like every now and then, like I still kind of feel it, but it's not as bad as it was. For the first like probably year, it was bad. So those are probably the only physical changes I really noticed.
Interesting. Okay. So does it persist now or are you totally clear of the neuropathy?
Um, I mean, I haven't really noticed it, so I'm going to assume I'm pretty clear of it. Like I said, I'm sitting here thinking about it now, so now I'm like wiggling my toes. I'm like, oh, but most times, yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah. And then how has surveillance been since your recurrence? Are you still, do you get anxious about it coming back in the
Um,
other testicle?
no, so funny story. I actually don't have another testicle. So when I was 2 days old, I had testicular torsion. So I had the one removed when I was a baby. So then I had testicular cancer. And I was like, well, glad I got the kids out of the way because there would be no more.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. There's a lot of advantages to not having testicles. You don't sit on them. They don't stick to your leg. There's a lot of advantages. So, yeah, but
So are you on testosterone?
I am. That's the downfall. I get to stick myself every week.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But the upside is I feel like I'm 16 again. Like my poor wife, like, she's running from me because my testosterone is, it's up here. My doctor, like, he keeps it right at like, because I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", 260. Like I'm a big guy. I'm a big guy. So he's like, if you feel fine here, he's like, we'll keep it there. And I was like, okay. So I'm on like that's the thing too, like with testosterone, if you're a woman, they'll give you estrogen like it's nothing. But if you're a man, the range is some people say 250, but it's like 300 to 850. It's a big gap. Like that's a big gap. So he keeps me right on the higher end. So, um, you know, I feel good there. I get tired of sticking myself, but it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Was it ever concerned, like when you lost your first one when you were younger, like was testosterone ever something that you had checked before testicular cancer, as in,
No,
okay,
no.
interesting.
And, I never even thought about that. Like, yeah, I never had my testosterone checked. Because they say like the one will just pick up and do the work of both.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, no, I just remember my testosterone was super low. First time I found out I had cancer. I mean, it was double digits. So it was real low. In hindsight, looking back, like I would come home from, coaching and I would take naps and I hate naps. Like for whatever reason, I hate naps. Most people are like, oh, I love naps. I'm like, no, I hate naps. But I was coming home and like taking naps and I thought, man, I know I coach hard, but am I coaching that hard? And it's like, no, you were sick and you didn't even know it. Like I had no clue. It's like I had cancer and I had no clue. So
Yeah.
that's what was making me so damn tired.
I guess going back to the incision on the wrong side, maybe they weren't sure which side it was on. Maybe they thought it was in the center.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, um, I I got two cuts now. I want to get a tattoo of like a fishing hook because most people think too, like when they remove a testicle, like they cut your scrotum open. No, they cut you and like they fish it up out of you.
Hmm.
Uh, so again, that sense of humor, I think it'd be hilarious to have someone like fishing, like they're trying to pull, I think it'd be kind of funny. So yeah, I have two pretty, they're not as bad now, but when I first got them, they were gnarly looking, but they've healed and I don't really notice them anymore.
So the one from when you were younger, is there a scar there from that too, or has that
No,
faded in the last
that,
30
that,
something years?
yeah, it's had to have faded. I don't ever remember having a scar. Um, Maybe because I was so little too that the incision was just tiny versus
Maybe.
when you get bigger, your body obviously gets bigger. So yeah, I don't remember having a scar.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for somebody who has found this podcast as a resource, maybe after just being diagnosed?
Mm. Um. Obviously, everyone's going to handle stuff differently. Everyone's different. I just know for me, making light of the situation, trying to just stay upbeat and positive was the best thing for me. It was the best thing I could have done. I think that, yeah, it sucks because it's cancer. Like that word just it scares people. But testicular cancer being one of like the most treatable, that was, in the back of my mind, I was like, I'll get through this. This is nothing. But just try to stay upbeat, remain positive. That'd be the biggest thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I think it actually kind of like opened me up more about like, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Like, so, um, yeah, I would just say stay upbeat and positive. That's the biggest piece of advice I can get. That and don't skip your ultrasound. Like if they schedule one, go do that. Don't be like me. I skipped it. Then I was like, yeah, probably go see what's going on here. So just listen to my gut. My head was like, yeah, you're fine. My gut was like, something's not right. Like something's not right here. So
yeah.
yeah.
And I think it's also important, and I'll have advice of my own off of your story, but a lot of the stigma around losing a testicle and manhood and everything. But I mean, look at you, you're 6'6", you're shredded. You're not ashamed of it. I mean, I think that's a great way to be. And anybody who's listening and they're maybe feeling ashamed, I mean, this is maybe not the best thing to say, but you don't have to be ashamed. I mean, it doesn't make you any less of a man.
No. Yeah, it's yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, there is such a stigma attached to like having balls as a man. It's like they don't really do much besides produce live swimmers. Like this is a funny story. I was in Vegas after my first surgery with my best friend, and he had been drinking, and he's like bawling, and I'm like, what are you crying for? And he's like, I just feel so bad for you. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you can't ejaculate. And I was like, what? And I was like, you do know that comes from your prostate, right? And he's like, what? He's like, you still? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh my God, I've been thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, you need a health class. Like the school system has failed us. So yeah, I mean, I've never heard my wife say like, man, I miss your balls. She's never said that. Maybe she does, and she just doesn't want to tell me, but she's never told me. So I'm going to assume she doesn't care. So yeah, there is like, for whatever reason, like having balls, like I don't know. I don't have them.
Yeah.
Hey,
hey, your wife had submitted to be on the podcast too, so maybe I'll ask her if she misses them.
Yeah. She's not home at the moment. Yeah, I mean, having her perspective is totally different than mine. Like how she handled it and stuff is totally different than mine. We're two different people. That's I think that's why we have been together for 23 years. So, yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't talk about?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Where can people find you on social if they want to connect?
My Instagram is at Josh Never Stops. I don't know how to say no, so it's only fitting. Someone was, I forget, it was like in conversation. Someone was like, Josh Never Stops, and I was like, that's a great Instagram handle. I'm going to use that. So that's just that's my Instagram, and then that's where I'm pretty much the most frequent. That's probably on Instagram. So
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to reach out to me, and I'll talk all day about cancer and how I got through it, and I'm an open book, so I don't shy away from it or hide too much. So
perfect. Well, I look forward to seeing your Funny Bone set, and
yeah, I'll send you tickets. They'll be in the mail.
Perfect. Josh, thank you so much for being on It Takes Balls.
No problem. Appreciate you having me.
For more information and resources for your testicular cancer journey, visit testicularcancerawarenessfoundation.org.